Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking to Matt Watson. Matt, it's great to connect with you. CEO, entrepreneur, full scale, outsourcing engineers, virtual assistants, and the author of the book that can be found on Amazon, Product Driven, the software engineering leadership model for product thinking, ownership, and outcomes. Appreciate you being on the show. Let's talk about this. So we're recording this in Q1 2026. You've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. The world of entrepreneurship is changing. There have been many studies we can point to that you can start $1 billion business with less than 10 people. Today, we have prices of software and products that are completely affordable by so many, and you can run a business with tons of virtual people all over the world. And it's great. It's great. I run my whole business. I have 6 virtual people that work for me. I'm a business coach. I have clients all over the world, and I get to do what I love because I have best of class virtual people doing all the things I don't want to do. It is seamless and I love it. So let's start here, Matt. What does being an entrepreneur today look like?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I think you hit it right on the head, right? Like if you want to start a business today, you can leverage global employees to a lot of different things at a much more affordable way than you could ever before, especially if you add AI to that and all the different tools and all the different things, right? But the hardest part about business has never been any of that, right? It's always been about leads. How do I find leads for my business? And so you talk about somebody's going to create $1 billion company with less than 10 employees or whatever. Like people keep talking about that kind of stuff. We can build any kind of software in the world now. We can build any kind of business in the world. But if you don't have customers, it doesn't matter. Right? That is still the moat. That's still the problem.
Yeah. So how do people get customers today?
That's still the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but I think it's
Every business is different.
I think it's a great topic to talk about because you, in order to get customers, there's some studies that suggest it takes 18 months to change somebody's mind. If you reverse engineer that, and we talk about marketing, then you need to be very smart with your messaging and your marketing and content education marketing. You have to pick up the phone. You have to call people. You have to meet people.
You have to do all the things nobody wants to do.
These are things that less and less people want to do.
Nobody wants to do.
Right. And so to me, as a business coach, Matt, I talk to people all the time. You want a differentiator? Pick up the phone and call people. You want a bigger differentiator? Go meet people, right? COVID changed that game a little bit. So let's just talk about the old school of picking up the phone and calling people, because marketing is great. I'm a big fan. I do a ton of it, but picking up the phone and marketing is so important.
So one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard actually from TikTok is you don't want to be the best at what you do. You want to be the best known at what you do. Right? Like none of us know who the best plumber is in our town. We'll probably never meet the guy. We don't know them, but we see the one that runs the ads. We see their trucks driving around the neighborhood, right? Like, and that's the mentality you got to have as a business owner is like, you got to focus on getting yourself out there and doing the sales, doing the marketing, talking to people like you're saying. And to me, what you're selling more than anything is trust, right? Like, especially dealing with somebody like my wife and most people, like they want to know, like, am I making the right decision? Am I hiring the right person? Can we trust this person? Are they a scammer, right? Like all this sort of emotional, they're scared. There's a lot of fear. They're like, I want to make a safe choice. I want to see the reviews. Right? And so as a business, that's a lot of the reason we do the marketing and the branding that we do, right? So people know who we are, they can trust us, that we're, a known entity to do business with. And if you're just the best plumber in town nobody's ever talked to, they don't know or trust you.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting too, because sometimes I'll talk to people and say, well, I don't do social media because I hate social media. I don't use AI because I hate AI. Okay, but your competitors do. And even if they're scared of it, they still do it so they can build mind share. And that mind share leads to market share. Same thing you're talking about, to be known today. And so to be known today, to be able to, focus your time on what you do best. In this case, let's make an assumption that people want to grow their business. They're making phone calls, they're meeting people. Think Community, I talk a lot about virtual teams. I'm a big fan of an org chart today, having virtual people on it and forecasting that out and seeing where more virtual people can help. Talk about where the virtual team steps in so you can actually do the mission critical leading activities that you need to do to grow your business or grow your team, and where your niche fits in.
Yeah, so a few things there. I think as an entrepreneur, we first and foremost have to figure out where do we provide the most value, right? Like where do we provide the most value for the business? And then getting ourselves out of doing those other types of activities that don't. Like even you mentioned for your podcast, like, oh, I have a virtual assistant to help schedule it and produce it and all that kind of stuff. Because that's probably not the best use of your time.
Correct.
However, I think there's a counterintuitive problem to this. Most entrepreneurs also have ADHD, and we like the dopamine hit of doing those little activities. They like the fact that I scheduled the person, I published the thing, and it's all these little activities that we do that feed our dopamine for most of us that have ADHD. Let's be honest, but we have to learn to let go of all those things, right? So we have to learn to delegate and trust somebody else. And go do the hard part that we don't want to do, which is picking up the phone and calling somebody. Like it feels way better to me to schedule that podcast than it does to make that cold phone call I don't want to make. Yeah. That's the battle every day that most people have. And I think it's the irony of it, right? Is we want to do the little tasks because they make us feel like we're accomplishing something, but they're not the high value tasks, right? And so that's where if you can hire virtual assistants to help do that stuff, it can help you scale, but you got to force yourself down to, as they say, eating the frog and doing the part of the work you don't want to do.
It's a great book. I love the author, Steven Pressfield, and he writes a book called The War of Art. And the book talks about that as human beings, we resist what we need to do most. And it's a great book. So for those Think Community that are, experiencing what Matt talked about, this book kind of defines why we resist and then how to, and then tools to kind of show up more productively. I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. So you've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. Our entrepreneurs, let's start here. Are they born? Is nature or nurture?
I think it's got to be more on the nature side. I think there's a certain spirit about us that makes us risk takers and innovators. And honestly, I would actually go a step further and say most Americans have this gene more than a lot of other people around the world, because if you think back historically, our ancestors were all the crazy people that got on a boat and went somewhere else. Like we are all like in our genetics have a little more risk taking than a lot of other people around the world, right? That's part of what makes us Americans. And then there's certain ones of us that are the craziest of the craziest, right? That are risk takers. And I think it's more nature than nurture.
Yeah. So what were two questions in this one question? How did you know you're an entrepreneur? And who was a mentor that fed that, in you, that you can look back and say, oh yeah, that really had an impact on me then, and it still has an impact on me now?
So what's interesting is I would say partly it was my dad, but I never thought of my dad as an entrepreneur. When I grew up, when I was really young, I worked at a flea market. My dad sold stuff at flea markets every single weekend. So we would go around through the week. Sometimes we'd buy stuff at garage sales in the Kansas City area.
Okay.
So my dad would buy stuff at garage sales and he would sell it at the flea market on the weekend. And I did that every single weekend. We'd go to the flea market and he would buy other things like shoes and socks and kids' toys and other things he sold at the flea market that was new also. But he was very entrepreneurial. And now that my dad's retired, he sells weird crap on eBay.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned some of it from that. And my grandpa owned a store that sold weird stuff too. But when I started my first business, I was 22. And even before then, I was doing some kind of side hustle stuff, side projects. I just always, people come to me with problems. I would always just say yes. Like I was just always hungry to do more. And I didn't really know what I was even getting myself into, but I just wanted to do stuff and help people.
Yeah.
And that led me through my career. I've been the technical co-founder for 3 different companies. They weren't my ideas. I was the technical co-founder, and all 3 of them have been wildly successful. So I've been blessed to be in the right place at the right time for some of them and have the right partners and the right ideas. But because I have ADHD, for those who aren't familiar with it, part of the wiring for most people that have it, they are not scared of any consequences. That's one of the traits of ADHD. I don't think about why things are going to fail. I don't even think about necessarily what's going to happen. I just do. I just act. And my mind doesn't get scared of future consequences. And that's a reason why I think a lot of entrepreneurs have ADHD and are successful, because other people will talk themselves out of anything before they even get out of bed.
Yeah.
And we just don't.
Right. Just jump right in.
Jump and build wings as we go.
There is my favorite podcast is Founders. I don't know if you listen to Founders or David Senra. Check it out. You'll love it. So Founders is a guy, David Senra. He reads all these autobiographies of everybody who's passed away, typically. And he has over 400 unbelievable. Rockefeller, Carnegie, all of them. But he just started another podcast called David Senra, where he interviews living founders. And he just interviewed the CEO of Coinbase. And one of the things that he was talking about on the podcast was that today's world, I'm dyslexic, today's world is made for ADHD, dyslexic, et cetera, for people who always had to learn differently. The world that we're in right now is actually made for that type of person because of many of the reasons that you're talking about. You know, you're studying, you're looking, you're not scared of the future. You're not scared of AI. You're figuring out what to do to adapt. And we see the world a little bit differently. And so I think you'd like the podcast. I think you'll find it really, really interesting, specifically that episode. Let's talk about making a decision for a minute, because you mentioned earlier, people want information to make a better decision. So you're the known one, right? You're building trust.
Yeah.
You are part of 3 startups, tech startups. I had a tech startup when I was out of college. Started a internet company when I was 23. We sold it when I was 25, and it's a great, really fun world. And I was also blessed. I had 2 business partners, and it was an amazing experience. One was my brother, one was a good friend. Picking the right business partner is really, really important. And not everybody needs. I feel like sometimes people feel like, oh, I need a business partner. When a lot of times people don't need a business partner. I'm not suggesting that in your case it wasn't, but also when picking a business partner, it's really important to pick the right business partners. So I just want you to kind of dive into you've been talking about decision making. How did you make the decision that it was the right businesses to go into, and they were the right business partners to go into business with?
Oh boy, I've got business partner stories, horror stories.
There's a lot of horror stories, right?
Been in lawsuits with business partners, fired business partners. One of them gave me PTSD and an anxiety disorder, I think. I've been through it all, man. And I think the first thing I would say is it's really hard to be a solo entrepreneur. So I think for most people, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you probably should have a business partner, because it will help keep you motivated. It will help keep you in check. You're going to have somebody that you can work with instead of feeling like a man on an island or woman on an island, whatever.
I will say one thing though. I think there's, in today's world where you can have so many resources at your fingertips, and it's more affordable today, and have more mentors at your fingertips. I think you can, go a little bit further on your own before you give away your idea. Sometimes I have people call me and they're like, hey, I have this idea. I'm this idea and it's a brilliant idea. And they're like, and so I'm trying to get a business partner. And I was like, slow down. Like, don't force a business partner yet.
It's got to be worth it. And I'll tell you from my struggles and experience with it, and I've had a lot of horror stories with partners I've had. One thing I'll say is it's easier to get a divorce than it is to get rid of a business partner.
Right.
As terrible as that sounds, neither one of them are good, but you can get a divorce. But if you own a business that has employees and it's successful, like, you just can't buy out your business partner necessarily. You don't just split the baby and split up custody and keep going. Like, divorce is terrible too, but you know what I mean? Like, it's difficult.
It's very, very
out of this thing.
Unwind it, right? And if you've already given
really difficult.
And if you had the idea and you chose the wrong business partner because you rushed the process and it wasn't organic, real, and you didn't listen to your gut, to unwind that is very, very difficult.
Yeah. And, you know, I had in one of my businesses, I had a business partner. I wouldn't say they were like, you know, an expert or a genius or whatever, but they were good. They were serviceable. They were a good business partner. And then eventually they got a drug addiction. You know, like, weird stuff happens, like, things happen and you just never know. And that's why some people do vesting of founder stock and different things, protect yourself. But I still believe it's really hard to be a solo entrepreneur. It is hard, unless maybe you're in a career in an industry and you've been around for a long time and you know, have the business acumen to do it or whatever. But if you're super young and you're just trying to figure out a lot of things, having some help is probably a good idea. But it really depends on the kind of business.
Yeah. And so what were how did you pick the right business partners? Let's just focus on that for a minute.
I wouldn't say I ran some like major dating competition to pick one, right? It was more just like, it was the people that came to me that had an idea. The first one went to a car dealership that I knew and said, hey, I need to hire a software engineer. And the car dealership connected the two of us and we just sat down and started a business together. Like, he needed help. I said I could help him. And then we just started a business. The other one, Full Scale, my business today, me and another guy named Matt DeCourcy had kind of become friends, you know, / acquaintances and got to know each other a lot, and just decided he had some employees in the Philippines and said, hey, you know what? Maybe we can start a business together. I need to hire some people in the Philippines. Let's just set up a little partnership. If we happen to find some other people that need help with software engineering or virtual assistants, stuff like that, maybe there's other people that need our help. And that's just kind of how it started as a business. It really wasn't like a well thought out, planned idea. Yeah. And then we hired 100 people in the first year.
Yeah. But it organically happened. What I'm hearing you say is you had let it organically unfold.
They've all been organic.
Yeah. And that's what I find. The ones that happen organically have a higher probability of working versus trying to force it.
And they were largely with people I knew. Like my first business, I didn't know that guy. My second business, I was a solo founder, so I have that experience too. The third one was with an old friend. The fourth one with Matt DeCourcy, I'd known him for a few months and stuff, so he wasn't, or actually I think I knew him for a year or two, whatever. It wasn't like just some random person. It's not like, oh, I need to find a CTO, I need a business partner. I'm gonna just keep calling. I'm gonna find one and just give them half of my company.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. All right. Good. I like that. Biggest lesson learned. Number one, biggest lesson learned in all of it.
I'm going to go back to what I told you earlier about being best known beats best. And, you know, when you think about a business, you think about, okay, I got to build a product, I got to do sales, and I got to get leads. And so many people are always focused on product, especially software engineers. They build a product. They're like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, playing with their toys, building stuff, building. But you know what they don't do? They don't go sell anything. But sales actually isn't the hard part. If you've got really high quality leads and you've got a cool product, sales isn't actually that hard. Yeah. Leads is always the hard part. And it's the part that nobody spends the time on.
Yeah. Give me a couple sentences on your book.
So I wrote the book because most software engineers don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it. They don't understand the big picture. Software engineering turned into this sort of assembly line of here's the requirements, go build it. And then everybody wonders why it doesn't work. Yeah. And AI is definitely changing it. We need software engineers that understand the big picture. And that's what the book is about.
And give me 30 seconds on what an engineer, somebody who's in school studying engineering today, AI is changing that game. What should they be doing and or thinking in that space today with AI kind of, a headwind in front of them?
Yeah, my 16-year-old is in this boat. He's learning software engineering now. And the thing is, software engineers have to go up a level. They've got to think more and more like a product owner. They got to understand the business problems. They got to have better communication skills. They can't just be the type of software engineers that hid in the basement in a cubicle somewhere. Like, that's not going to work anymore. They've got to talk to customers. They got to understand the problem, the product, and think at a higher level. They can't be so logical. Just tell me what to do, I'll build it. Like,
right.
AI will do that. If I can tell AI what to do, it will build it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, good. All right, quick speed round. A book that's had a big impact on you.
You know what? Rocket Ship, I think is what it's called, about visionary and operational pairing, by Gino Wickman, I think. Really highly recommend. It's probably one of the most important books I've ever read.
Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
I'm going to go back to the best known best thing. I think it's one of my favorites.
Finish this sentence. If there's one thing that every entrepreneur needs to do differently today to succeed in today's world, it is?
I think it's getting out and talking to people in the real world.
Yeah. Tell everybody where they can connect with you, who your ideal clients are for Full Scale, where they can buy your book, connect,
Yeah. So at Full Scale, we help any kind of business that has software engineers scale their team, for less than half the cost of hiring somebody in the United States. Great talent in the Philippines. You can check us out at fullscale.io. Definitely follow me on LinkedIn. I have a massive following on LinkedIn. Just look up Matt Watson. You can also check out my podcast, which is called Startup Hustle, and the book. It's product driven. It's productdriven.com, and happy to send you a free copy of the book if anybody wants a copy of the book.
All right, good. This was great, Matt. I appreciate your time, your insights. Congratulations on what you've done, what you're building. Think Community. I'm just going to echo a couple things that Matt said. One thing that really continually stuck out, as he mentioned it a couple times. Do you want to be the best, or do you want to be the best known? Marketing, selling, getting out there, calling people, meeting people, posting quality content, building mind share, building market share, pick up the phone, go on meetings, all important stuff. I think I can speak for you and I. We both want to be the best known, and this was great. I really enjoyed this talk. If you want to reach Matt, you can reach him at give me your website.
Fullscale.io,
or on LinkedIn, and you can reach me at johndwoskin.com. Matt, this was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.